This new Double Fairlie from Bachmann is absolutely fantastic. It's just a real shame we've not got a 009 gauge layout here.
Well, hold that thought. I've got an idea.
So Mike, we're here again. Another one of your bright ideas.
Yeah, I should stop having these bright ideas, to be honest.
It seems to be every other week there now.
Yeah, I said I wasn't going to build another layout about a week ago.
You did, a week ago.
And now we're building another one.
We laughed, me and Mark.
It's because you knew it wasn't true.
Yeah. So what is your idea?
Well, my idea is, I'm blaming Bachmann for this entirely, but I'm sure they'll be quite happy with that. It's to do a 009 narrow gauge layout and do something a bit more busy and with continuous run on it, and somewhere to use the really rather nice new Double Fairlie from Bachmann. I've got to say, when this dropped through the post for us to start reviewing it for the magazine, I was thinking, oh, narrow gauge, 009, Double Fairlie, a nice locos, really nice things to look at, but not really my kind of bag. Then I got it, opened the box, like, I've got to do something for this. It is really a lovely mod.
See, I disagree. I think seeing that and seeing the real thing, that's a model to build a railway for.
Well, that's exactly what my point is.
Yeah.
It's like before, I was kind of thinking, well, it's going to be nice, another 009 loco, we've got a 009 layout, don't need to do any more of that. And I thought, do you know what? It's too nice not to do something proper for where you could have nice sort of medium length trains with it. So I built an 8-foot by 2'6" pair of baseboards.
We saw.
Yeah, so two 4-foot by 2'6" baseboards joined together in the middle. That's going to allow us to have a nice round and round continuous run layout. We can have a station, we can have a quarry scene, we can have scenery, we can have passing loop, we can have sidings, we can have all kinds of things going on this layout. So that's where my head's at with this.
So the idea is, I suppose, rather than having an end-to-end like previously, we're going for a roundy tail chaser.
Yeah, tail chaser, classic tail chaser style. Think embellished train set, and you'll know where we're heading with this. So traditionally with like a layout size like this, you'd probably end up having kind of the track going all the way around the outside. I don't want to do that. I want to do something a little bit different. Just a little take on that. So there will be some curves which will come out to the outside to make full use of the baseboard in order to turn the train around to do the full circuit. But rather than just keeping all the track straight, you're going to see some nice curve coming through the platforms here. And on this side, I want to do much more, like, you know how the Ffestiniog, it kind of weaves its way around the edge of the quarry scene and things like that. I want to do that on that side. So it will be fully scenic on both sides. So all this 8-foot by 2'6" is going to be scenic. So there won't be any hidden storage yards or anything like that. So there'll be like a central spine of scenery, which will kind of divide the two parts of the layout. So stay with us and you'll see if I achieve my aims.
I have to work with this. Right, but I mean, joking aside, this layout's going to be quite interesting because it's, being the size it is and the scale it is, you could pretty much store it anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is the beauty of this, I think, is actually, and again, it's one of the things actually, even with the Great Central layout, it's a little bit smaller than some of the layouts we've built recently. I mean, it's like with 12 Trees Junctions, 24-foot by 10-foot, West Coast Cements, 19.5 by 10-foot. We've got Grosvenor Square, which is just, it's ridiculous. It's 29 feet long and 8 feet wide. I haven't got anywhere to put any of those layouts. These kind of layouts in the Great Central one, 16-foot by 10-foot, sorry, 16-foot by 8-foot, actually the Great Central one is. That would fit in your typical single garage. You might have space, if you've got a really big spare room in the home, you might have space for it, or you could find space on a loft for it.
This would go under your bed.
This was looking at something here that actually, do you know what? It's two baseboards. You can pack them face to face.
Yeah.
You could probably even put them in a cupboard somewhere out of the way when you aren't using them. Or if you've got a garage like this and you've got a car like I have that normally lives here, then you can put these boards away, put them to one side, put your car back in its nice warm space in winter so it doesn't get wet and things like that. And then take the car out when you want to play trains. So much more flexible. I kind of like the idea of building some smaller layouts at the moment. Big layouts are great. Love Topperdale, 16 by 10 again. But it's a big layout, it's a lot of space to occupy with layout.
Yeah, this is definitely much more of an accessible project for people.
Yeah.
And of course, I suppose 009 might not be the first gauge for those at home watching, so it just shows what can be possible on top of your 00 or O gauge layout.
Yeah, that's right, and I think actually the Double Fairlie for 009 is going to be that catalyst for a lot of people to make that jump they may not have already have done. I can see it's been an exceptionally popular loco, and people will want to build something for it to run on as well. It's like narrow gauge tank engines, they're lovely, they're really nice detailed models I've seen lately as well. they're not a double fairlie. This is like a mainline narrow gauge loco. It's the only kind of way I can think of a double fairlie. You see them coming out of Portsmouth Station with like 12, 14 coaches behind them on a gala day at Ffestiniog Railway. That's a huge train for one of these locomotives. But phenomenally powerful things, these locomotives. And well, I should mention right now actually, if you want to know more about the double fairlie, both the model and the real thing, then you need to check out the latest issue of Hornby Magazine, issue 175. That's our January 2022 issue, which is on sale from December the 2nd. And then there you can read our full review of the Bachmann double fairlie for narrow gauge. And we've got a full class history for the double fairlies as well. So everyone's got into all the details of how these locomotives were developed and their story with the Ffestiniog Railway. And there's also some features on this as well.
Tony's Trains of Rugby is located at Hillmorton Locks on the outskirts of Rugby. We are open Tuesday to Saturday 10 till 5 but closing early on Saturday at 4 o'clock. We stock Hornby Bachmann, Graham Farish, Pico, Gauge Master, Howjan, Oxford and Oxford Diecast, Acura Scale and more. We also have a large selection of second-hand models to suit all budgets. You can either visit us in store or reach me on 01788 543 442, visit our website tonystrainsofrugby.com or find us on Facebook.
So I have given up trying to keep up with your bright ideas, so I'm just going to step back, hit record, and I'm going to see what you come up with.
Yeah, come back in an hour and we'll be running.
It'll be done.
Won't be done, but we'll definitely be running in an hour. So.
Right, let's get on. So here we are, Mike. You made that look extremely easy, as ever. And we've got the Double Fairlie running, and I have to say it's incredibly satisfying.
It is a lovely loco to see running. And yeah, actually I'm really pleased with how the track layout's turned out too. It's exactly what I had in mind. You know, I said I had a plan. This was the plan.
Yeah.
A couple of modifications along the way, but that's just how it goes.
So talk us through what we've got and what were your thoughts behind it?
Okay, so obviously double-sided layout, so all of this is scenic. Central spine of the layout is going to have height to it, so it will divide the layout in two, essentially. And you've got footbridge at one end, tunnel at the other end. That kind of gives you kind of your split, if you like, between the two areas of the layout. And then on this side nearest to me, I'm going to have a station here, so there'll be platforms either side of the two loops here. So you have to have a nice long 5-6 coach train sat in these loops here, like the one we've got running on the layout now. Small station building here. I haven't quite decided what that is going to be yet. My original plan was to have, they're doing a nice slate cottage to go with this set of buildings from Bachmann Scenecraft, but the slate cottage isn't going to be available until after I've really finished what I'm doing with this.
Oh.
So what I'm probably going to do is have a temporary station building. I think I've got one knocking around somewhere in the office somewhere. I've got one in mind that should work for this and do kind of the job I want it to do. It's going to be quite a simple affair for the station. I'll probably have some platform lamps on it, a few bits of benches and stuff like that, so it's not going to be too intricate. So a typical kind of narrow gauge kind of station will feel quite kind of desolate and empty. Imagine being on top of like a slate mounting somewhere, and it's the kind of station you get there, but with that kind of Ffestiniog twist, you'll have quite long trains that can stop in it, so they'll have long platforms. Little bit of a road entrance on this side as well, gives us somewhere for the vehicles to come, bit of detail, bit of fencing, that'll look quite nice then. And then I'm just trying to decide at the moment whether the next stage of this is whether the slate wall I want to have is going to go immediately behind the station here, so this will kind of feel quite hemmed in on this side, or whether to have the slate wall on that side and have more kind of a rolling downhill on this side from that kind of scenic height break between the two halves. So we'll see how that transpires. So moving on at the end of the station, so you've got a little head shunt here, just a space to keep a couple of spare wagons or something like that. And then the railway will loop round the curve at the end there. So then when the loco's coming through this side, then what I wanted to do is kind of give that kind of slate works kind of feel. So it's got like well, actually I really like how this is going to look in my mind anyway, with the main line sweeping right back into the scenery. I think that's going to look really good when it's all scenic in as well. And then in front of that, which again I really like the fact that all this like yard is in front of the railway rather than behind the railway. So often with a model railway, we go main line, goods yard, back scene. It's like turn it round the other way. Looks a bit different. Make sure there's not too much straight track as well. So I like that as well. I like kind of the idea with narrow gauge as well. It kind of weaves and turns around things as well. And then within that, I've got a small locomotive shed. So it's got two tracks there. One into the shed itself, and another one with which will be like a coal and water road. Then we've got the slate building in the middle. I'm not sure I've exactly used that as it's intended, but I'm sure someone will tell me if I haven't.
It looks like it fits.
It fits very nice. It looks very aesthetically pleasing to me. That's kind of where it's going with that. And then a little trio of sidings where you can have slate wagons, shunting, all those kind of activities as well.
You see, I think we've got all the factors of a good little model railway here, because you've got the theme with the Ffestiniog, and then of course the Ffestiniog is steeped in heritage and of its industry, and you've of course dedicated half of the layout to that. But of course, more importantly, for a model railway, you've got play value.
Yes.
With the shunting yard, the station, the passing loops, you have trains going every direction.
And an engine shed.
Engine shed, it's great. You swap your locos over.
Yeah, exactly, it's all the features you want from a model railway in not really very much space.
Yep.
So like I say, main line running, passing loop, engine sheds, shunting yard, nice bit of scenery. What more could you want?
While still being a full loop, so you can just leave your trains running, as we have here.
Yep, that's right.
Just ticks all the boxes.
It does, and actually, like I say, it's very therapeutic just watching this double fairlie pottering round. It's the kind of thing when there's another double fairlie in here, maybe. Like, you know, no hints there. Or like the George England 040 saddle tank tender that's coming as well. Great with these two passing. I think I'd have to buy more coaches there.
Right, so with every layout that we build, or I should say that Mike builds, I just happen to be here, we seem to use new techniques. So this time, I saw you had a piece of wood to help you do the curves for flexi-track curves. Now, I've not seen that before. You've not done that on double O gauge layouts that I've been privy to see building. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so, well, first I'll tell you why I did it. Double O gauge, it sounds a little bit odd, but I find that really easy to lay track. I can lay perfect curves all day long without any worries, and I find it really easy to work with that track. With the smaller gauge track like this, you've got to be that bit more precise. It's only 9mm gauge track. It's slightly harder to follow a curve, but it's also easier for it to have a bow or a kink in it, which could cause you a lot of problems with running. And because I'm using a fairly tight radius to both ends of this layout, I really wanted to make sure I could get them really perfect as possible following a curve round. So to do that, I made my own little device, which is basically a spare bit of wood with some holes in it. So I've marked a centre point there, and then from that centre point, I've measured 12 inches, 13 inches and 14 inches. And then the two radiuses of the curves are, well, this end is 12 inches, so I put the pencil through that hole, put this into the hole there, and I can draw a perfect curve all the way around just by swinging the piece of wood round on the screw. And same at the other end as well. That's on a 14-inch radius curve on there, and just by screwing that down halfway into the wood and put a pencil in there, I could draw a perfect arc. And then that means I can then follow that arc and make sure that my track pins all go in the centre of the line that's underneath the track, and then I've got a really neat curve.
Yeah, I was going to say, I suppose you're under a bit more pressure being a smaller tail chaser layout to have that perfect curve, because people can view it all the curve.
Yeah, it's the viewing part of it, and it's also actually the running part of it as well. It's something when I built Barronthorpe shed, for example, what I did with that to make sure I got perfect curves is I actually use set track for the tightest curves.
Yes.
And then I used that profile of the set track to then lay the wider curves with flexible track. But I still had something I could follow, which is what I really needed here. I needed something I could follow to make sure I got it right. Just laying it freehand, I know would have had kinks in it. It would have had bits that would have been like first radius and a little bit less. I'd have probably like 3/4 radius. So I'd have other bits which were too wide. And then you end up with problems then with running in particular. And that's something I was really keen to avoid with this as well. I've got a little narrow gauge test track upstairs in my office as well. It's only 2'6" square, but it's got first radius narrow gauge curves like this 12-inch radius here.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that the trains will go around this. I know that loco will go around this because that's my minimum radius testing. So,
and I think we'll have to agree, it's one of the most appealing features to building a 009 gauge layout is the fact that you can get a full realistic curve in such a small space.
Yeah, absolutely, and that I suppose is the thing with it as well. Like say, it's not just a tight curve. Actually, you look at the Ffestiniog, but actually any other narrow gauge railway.
Yeah.
They've got really tight curves. They've got really tight clearances and stuff. And that's one of the things I want to get into this layout by the time you see it finished. It's like I've got this vision that where the train is right now, coming out there, it's going to be in a really tight rock cutting, but it won't have a tunnel mouth at this end. It'll just come out of the rock.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most appealing things about the Ffestiniog is the fact you're hooning around a mountainside and you've got nothing next to you, but you're going around a really tight curve.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, I think we're going to recapture some of that here quite nicely.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Alex Yates and this is TMC, the Model Centre at Beck Hole near Whitby. We're down at the new mailroom at TMC where we can ship your orders worldwide. Here at TMC we do many limited editions. We've got our 24.5 tonne middle wagons that have just come into stock, and we've got our G5 that is due in summer next year, and we've got many other limited editions available on our website. Here at TMC we stock all major brands including Hornby and Bachmann, and we also have a large range of pre-owned models all available in store and on our website. We offer customisation services when you buy a model from us, such as reel coal, cab crew, DCC sound, DCC, and any little customisation features that you want on your models. We also offer a weathering service. When you buy a model off our website we have tick box options so you can spec up the model as much or as little as you want. You can pre-order all future releases on our website with free postage over £50 and no deposit required. Whether you're a customer, old or new, visit us in person or visit our website, themodelcentre.com. We hope to see you soon.
So we've built the baseboard very quickly, cheap and easy. You've laid the track. You've wired it all up. We've done the point motors. You've seen us do that before, because you do that quite a lot. What's the next phase?
Okay, so next phase is now, well, and I know it works. It's all fully wired up for DCC, like we just said a minute ago. So I want to do a little bit more testing, aka laying trains. Testing trains.
Love it.
Get it the right way around. And so I want to do a bit more testing, just around the sidings to make sure everything works there, because it's quite important we have everything right for the next stage. And then it's going to be weathering the track and ballasting the track next.
Yeah.
Oh, and then a platform.
Laying the platform.
Yeah, platform is important.
And how are we doing the platform?
Our platform, again, I'm going to do something, well, not totally different. Actually, it's the same method I used on the little narrow gauge layout terminus that I built Wardle Bay quite a long while ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use the Woodland Scenic Smooth It road surface in plaster.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what I'll do is I'll build like a little frame for it to go in. So it's a bit like setting concrete to make a concrete foundation. I have a little frame to put it into, lay the plaster down. That'll set rock hard overnight, and then we'll have a nice platform area here. And that platform can be split between being road and being railway.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited. So first a bit of testing, and then I'll let you get on with the progress.
Excellent. So as you can see, I've made my frame for the platform here. So I'm going to fill all this area with the Smooth It paving product, and that will all set hard and give me a nice solid base for a platform. And obviously on this side I've got a lot more platform space here than there, and I will finish that side off in a moment, but I'm going to have to reuse some of this material. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably divide this between platform and road area. Sort of like a station forecourt in front of the station here, then the platform there as well. I've got a little building coming as well to give a little bit of interest to this scene as well. So obviously we need a station building for a station, so we've got to have one of those. Right, time to go mix the plaster. in case you're wondering, that really didn't go to plan. Well, I say really didn't go to plan. Me and my good ideas, that was a horrifically messy job, which didn't go as I'd expected at all. However, I think we've got the basics there. I should be able to sand that back once it's all set. But I think the last thing I need to do right now is just peel away all the masking tape and foam to leave the edge of the platform. Hopefully, at least that's nice and neat. We can but hope. So let's peel this away. So next time I have a good idea, I'll expect reminder emails from everybody telling me it's not a good idea. This really couldn't go any worse, could it? So I'm not sure now whether this is just old materials, they're just not happy, or I've done something wrong. Either way, I'm going to fix it, and then we'll show you when it's fixed, because I think it's going to be a little bit tricky to get all this to work in now. But bear with me, we'll see what we can do.
Smith, and I'm the owner of Smiths Model Railways, based in Sheringham in Norfolk, just on the main high street, really close to the Norfolk Railway. So we stock from N gauge to O gauge, brands like Pico, Graham Farish, Hornby, Bachmann. Just launched our new loyalty card just after lockdown when we reopened. So we also offer these gift vouchers. You can either contact us via our telephone, email, or with our contact form on our website.
As disasters go, the platforms were one of the great ones, I think, and actually it's got worse. Now, having left the heaters off overnight in the garage, just trying to save a little bit of electricity, the platforms haven't dried either. So that's going to be a bit of a problem, because really I need to be able to sand those and get them prepared for a flat surface before I can start laying the bars, which I really want to be doing next. So what I'm going to do is I'm change the order a little bit. So instead I'm going to move on to cut the basic shapes for the landform using these polystyrene blocks. So these are insulation polystyrene blocks. I'm going to be using a couple of these, and they're 50mm deep and 3 foot long. So I can use these to start creating a basic landform shape for the layout. Initially it'll look like some big blocks of white, but the important part is we're going to start the layout going upwards, which is what we need to do. So really ideally for a Ffestiniog themed layout, actually I want the land to rise and fall above and below the layout as well. So for example, one of the key kind of things of a Ffestiniog railway is how the railway ends up on really sort of narrow embankments where the land really falls away really steeply. I'm probably not going to be able to do that on this layout at the moment, although I have thought of a possible way to do it in the future. So for the time being, I'm going to focus on actually adding height upwards, which is going to give us that central spine down the middle, which will separate the station area from the quarry area on the other side. Now, I think what I'm probably going to do is go for a kind of a fairly sharp wall here. It's like a stone embankment around this edge behind the platform. So this will feel really quite tight and narrow around on this side. And then we'll leave it a little bit more open on the other side with the land kind of falling down to where the railway is. Add some slate theme to that as well. We should start to get some of that Ffestiniog theme coming through. So without further ado, it's time to get out my saw, start chopping up some polystyrene, start getting some shapes down on the layout. So I've left all the polystyrene to dry and set thoroughly, so we're now at the stage where I can start shaping all this landscape to look something a little bit more like a hillside, because obviously right now it doesn't look great, does it? So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this hot wire foam cutter. So it's got two attachments. It's got either the very thin wire that's currently attached on this hoop here, or I've got a alternative harder stick here as well, which will make light work of cutting through all this once it's heated up. Now, using the hot wire cutter, it makes it a lot cleaner to do this job. If you're using a knife or something similar like that, that can make quite a lot of mess with polystyrene. So I'm aiming for a nice clean job on this, and we'll get this job done hopefully fairly quickly as well. And then we'll have a landscape that looks a little bit like some hills rather than some blocks of polystyrene. Right, electricity's on, heating up the hot wire, let's get going.
So while Mike's inside eagerly beavering away on the new layout, and I'm keeping myself busy, I thought there's only one thing I can do now, and that's to go and find out what all the fuss is about on the new Bachmann Double Fairlies. And of course, there's only one place to go and find the real thing, and that's the Ffestiniog Railway in North Wales. So let's go and take a trip to the very noisy Austin Lodge Works. I'm joined once again by Tony. Now, I've heard a lot about the Double Fairlie, which to me looks like two engines that are backed into each other. Can you tell me a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, you're not far wrong, to be fair on that one. In the 1860s, the traffic had grown so much. In 1869, they were literally looking at doubling the line, making it a double track, because there was that much slate they couldn't transport it all on a single line. But a guy called Robert Fairlie had come up with the idea in 1864 of an engine that all the wheels are driven, so it doesn't waste anything on, there's no bogey wheels, tender wheels, everything's driven, so there's no wasted economy on it. He designed the patent for it in 1864. The first couple didn't really catch on, but he built one to use on this line in 1869 called Little Wonder, and that was the first successful Fairlie engine in the world. And what makes this one special, Rich, is it's articulated. Obviously, a long engine like this, if it wasn't articulated, it wouldn't go around the tight curves of a narrow gauge railway. Just like a diesel locomotive, really. We're so used to it now on the diesels we see on the main line that it doesn't look special. But this was the first articulated engine in the world. It's basically two bogies under there, which swivel and pivot to go around the tight curves, giving much better tractive effort than, you know, the tank engines like Welsh Pony, which we've seen here, and Palmerston and Prince, the original engines. These engines could pull up to 100 slate wagons up the hill, they reckon. The trains were still coming down by gravity in that period, but were being taken back up the hill by the locomotives. And where the horses could haul around 8, including lots of stops to change horses. The England 040s, like Prince and Welsh Pony, could haul about 30. They reckon these could haul nearly 100 wagons up the hill. Empty, of course.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a massive breakthrough and prevented the need to double a line or make more loops. And this engine really made the Ffestiniog Railway.
Tony, we've taken a quick break from the main yard. We've snuck round the back to find an engine shed, and we've found Mervyn Emery's. Now, this looks very similar to the one we were just stood in front of, but it's not, is it?
Yeah, exactly. The one we stood in front of was the one built here in 1992. This one was the first Fairlie built here in 1879. As we touched on earlier, it's not the first Fairlie, but it was the first one built at Boston Lodge Works. So it was built about a few hundred yards from where we stood now, which is incredible to have that kind of engine here today. And it's in working order.
Full working order. They still use it?
Order. This was out a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
And it'll be out again in a couple of weeks' time, I imagine, as well. So.
It's just a credit to the engineering of the time and of today, I suppose, with the new ones.
Absolutely amazing. And the fact you could put this one next to David Lloyd George and not realise there's a century in between them in construction.
Yep.
I'll be honest, there's not a lot blows my mind in preserved railways, but that does.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, what is it, 140 years old?
141.
141, blimey.
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
There's not many things still working at 141, is there?
No, absolutely not. And of course, this one was the first one that probably really worked well and successfully. There were two of these built at Boston Lodge in that period. This one was the first one. The second one, Livingston Thompson, now lives in the National Rail Museum at York. The first two, Little Wonder was a massive breakthrough because obviously the articulation, but didn't really work that well because you still need to iron out the problems. The second one, James Spooner, which was built in Bristol, sort of sorted those problems out and did last until 1930, so it did work quite well. But unlike this one here, unfortunately those two have both been scrapped now.
Well, it's absolutely incredible to think that your model at home, you can come and ride behind either an original one or a recreation, a new original, I suppose, at the Ffestiniog Railway.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, pick the right day and you could well be riding behind Double Fairlie.
Yeah, well, as ever, Tony, thank you very much for joining me on this sunny day at the Ffestiniog Railway. And of course, you'll join me back at the workshop.
I'm Anthony of AGR Model Railway Store in Leighton Buzzard, Bedfordshire. We stock the whole ranges for N, OO and O, all the major brands, for DC modelers and DCC modelers. We have a full DCC sound install which can include sound, smoke and lights. We offer a range of Pico 009 exclusives, and we are also UK's biggest importer of Bachmann USA Thomas and Friends models. We've got great links to the M1. We have mail order, which you can order through the website www.agrmodelrailwaystore.co.uk. We're actually just off the Leighton Buzzard High Street. We're in High Street Mews, so if you look for Costa Coffee, directly opposite you can see us and the sign.
Mike, I join you back on the layout. Obviously, it's improved quite a bit since we last spoke.
Yes, making progress now. So
We've got scenery.
well, starts of scenery. It's very much base scenery at this point. I mean, you can tell I'm sweeping off all the excess of the fine turf that I put down as a base layer on here. I've now got enough to start doing the other half now as well, which is why I always do this, because otherwise a lot of material could be wasted in this stage. So so I always like to scoop it back up as much as possible. Then what I can't scoop up, I'll get the vacuum out for.
Which is a top tip, because you can use a lot of material. Yeah. Talking of material, if we take you back, so where we last left you was when you lay the track. What did we do from then to get to this stage?
Well, there's been quite a bit, I suppose, since then. So, laid the track, got it all wired up, made sure the whole circuit all works. Obviously, there'll be cleaning and maintenance required before we can actually run trains on the finished layout. Everything did run perfectly. Since then, I've weathered the track. So I used my typical Humbrol 29 method, which is an aerosol spray can, about 2 minutes to weather the entire layout, making sure I cover the point blades first. I don't want any paint in those. I find that's a really good base layer for track weathering. So it's not kind of a catch-all that's going to give you like your best ever looking track weathering, but it does tone everything down as a nice starting point. From there, then actually after that, I actually did the sculpting of the scenic section in the middle next after that. So this is all just polystyrene blocks, which are all glued together with PVA, and then that's all overlaid with plaster bandage as well.
Have we used polystyrene and not expanding foam this time?
Yeah, because we tried expanding foam with GCR layout. It kind of worked, kind of didn't work. I didn't really have a lot of time for this either, so I just wanted to be able to just stick blocks together, leave them overnight to dry, and I knew that they'd be exactly the shape I wanted them to work away from, so that I could start carving away with both. I used a combination of both a knife and also the hot wire foam cutter as well. I used the hot wire foam cutter until I broke the wire on it, and changed the knife. I was being a bit aggressive with that. And then that then gave me the shaping of the basic landscape that we need. So you kind of got the hill rolling down to this side, and then on this side there'll be like a rock face, which I'm now starting to cast the rocks for as well. So that'll give quite a nice different kind of feel to each side of this as well, which is one of the things I was after with this as well.
So then once you've got the basic shape, covered it in plaster bandage, it's quite solid now. I painted it for you.
You did? Yeah, you did a good job of putting brown and turning it into a Christmas log.
See, I can do something. Now we're moving on to your scatter.
Yes.
Can you tell us what's the next process?
Okay, so this is a little bit where I start to get a bit more creative, which is where I can kind of find it difficult then to hand over to someone else to do this part of the layout sometimes, because I've got an idea in mind of where I'm headed with this, but not every detail is fixed. So the first part is to put down this base layer of Woodland Scenic's fine blended green turf, and that's anywhere where I'm going to put static grass. So that'll go over all this hillside as well. But I've got a few little bits and pieces where I don't want to have grass as well. So for example, I'm still thinking, well, I've got this big building that sits here. Haven't quite made my mind up about what the ground cover is going to be there yet. I've got an idea, but I just need to go and find the idea from the office. And then I've got another idea about what I'm going to do for this front area here as well, just to keep that kind of variety of ground cover going as well. So I don't want everything to be grass everywhere, because that wouldn't look right, would it? I've also got to introduce some slate with this as well. I've got slate buildings, narrow gauge railway in North Wales. You can't have one of those without slate. So I've got to think about that and how that's all going to go together as well. And then there's also the general sort of blending of all the layers to do as well, which is one of the things I use static grass for, and also some of the coarse turfs as well from Woodland Scenics.
So one thing I like about the methods you use, particularly on magazine layouts, is all the layers, when they're built up, do look quite realistic once they're done. Once
they're done, yeah. I mean, I think at this stage, it doesn't look much, does it? I don't think. I think it's okay. You can kind of start seeing how it comes together. Here we've got the brown here, you've got then the green here, and it's sort of, we're starting to get the idea of what it might be, but it's still nowhere near what it's going to be when it's finished. So I'll keep chipping away at this, and there's lots of little intricate bits. Surprisingly, for quite a small layout, there's going to be quite a lot of little bits to go into this to make it come to that fully finished scene that I want. So.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing the progress as it happens.
Yeah, me too.
So just going back a sec to the track work and the electrics, I presume it's rather simple, being on two boards?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So it's all wired for DCC control. So everything is live everywhere apart from one of the sidings over there, which it's so short, I didn't see the point in putting the extra wires in. Because I only have a couple of wagons stood in it. Actually, to be fair, this siding here will probably actually never be used for anything apart from displaying wagons. So it's very much a case of there's two wires coming in from the control system. They come to a central block underneath here, which then distributes power out to the entire layout. So then got this pairs of wires going out to each point where we need power to the track. and it's as simple as that. There's no section switches, there's no complexities. 2 wires in, 2 wires repeated to all the points where they need the feed.
So we have actually ticked the box of DCC being 2 wires.
Technically, there's probably about 25 wires that actually connect the 2 wires to the track, but it is just the same 2 wires. And that is kind of the point of DCC, is that it's 2 wires that go into a layout, and all you're doing with DCC is you're repeating the feed in the right places to power the layout. So it is 2 wires, and actually you can feed everything else off those 2 wires as well if you really want to as well. So,
And for those at home who haven't previously modelled 009 gauge, do we need anything extra compared to, say, 00 or O gauge or the bigger scales?
No, it's just the same. You can pick up any controller you got. If you've got analog control for 009, your standard analog controller will do the job just as well as it will for a 00 gauge layout. Same with an N gauge layout as well. All those will work across each other. Same with DCC as well. You don't need any special amperage or voltage or anything. It's all just standard kit that we use for this.
Wonderful. Well, now on to some more scenery. What's next for you?
Right, so next, I'm going to dust down the rest of this. I've got a bit more excess grass over that side. Once I've done that, I'm then probably going to get the base layer over this side. I've got a little bit more tinkering to do around this. I want to make it look like a slate quarry opening kind of thing there. And then I need to think about this ground cover for the middle here. That's going to have to be an end of day job because the process I've got in mind is going to need at least 24 hours to dry. So I can't get stuck with that halfway through a working day. So,
And then the big question, because this side really makes sense from a modelling point of view, what are you going to do with this side?
So this side, well, you're going to have the station here, obviously. I've found a nice building that, well, there's no secrets anymore because I've said it in a magazine. It's not a station building I've used for it. It's actually a slate worker's cottage from the Bachmann Scenecraft range. But it looks kind of nice and small, stationary.
Yeah.
As long as I put it the right way around from the viewing side, you can't tell there's no door on the other side. Secret's out of the bag now, though. So
You could always make a door.
yeah, I could make a door, but that's an option on the table. So then this platform here, obviously it's quite big compared to the smaller one there. So the idea here is that actually this platform will be split into 2 areas. You'll have the station building sort of roughly where I am now, and then there'll be a fence line that runs across the back of the platform. Then there'll be parking, station forecourt kind of thing on this side, which is nice little bits of detailing and things as well. And then in terms of the actual presentation behind the railway, my aim is that it's basically going to be a rock face. Or sort of slate rock face. It'll have to be North Wales, won't it? So it'll give quite a dramatic backdrop to the railway. And if it looks how I think it does in here, it'll look really good. If it doesn't, it could go horribly wrong, just like my platforms did.
And how do you go about making the rock faces?
Well, actually, we use a combination. Well, it's the same material, but used in 2 different ways. So I'm using Woodland Scenic's Hydrocal, which is a casting plaster. You mix it with water, and then you can pour it either into rock moulds, or if you're really quick and work with it, you can let it get to the point where it gets that tipping point between liquid and solid, which it lasts for about 2 or 3 minutes tops at that point. And you can actually apply it direct onto the layout, and then you can come back and carve it later when it's set. So I've done that around the tunnel mouth at this end because it's such an intricate area around that end of the little narrow tunnel I built down there. Rather than sticking castings onto the front of the polystyrene base, I've just put the plaster straight on, and then I'll get my chisel and my craft knife out, and I'll knock it about into shape to look like rocks. Well, that's the plan anyway.
That's probably how the real thing was done.
Well, it was exactly,
on a bigger
yeah.
scale.
Yeah. They had a slightly bigger chisel for bigger rocks, yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing the results of that, so I'll let you go and cast some rocks.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Adam Davis of Rails of Sheffield Limited. We're a family-run business. We've been trading for over 50 years now. We've also been voted Retailer of the Year for the last 2 years running. We sell any age, any gauge, tens of thousands of items for all major manufacturers, continental, American, from your N gauge, Z gauge, right up to live steam, ride-on. We do many in-house exclusives, all available on our website, railsofsheffield.com. The address here is 21 to 29 Chesterfield Road, Sheffield, S8 0RL.
So as you can see, we're doing fairly well with our fairly good idea to build a new 009 narrow gauge layout. It's actually been really good fun putting this together. It's quite a simple track layout, but it's still quite enjoyable to run as well. And it certainly will be once we've got everything finished off and fully working as we want it to as well. So I've taken the time to bring all the track back up to running standard as well. There's been a little bit of point cleaning, lots of railhead cleaning as well after all the basic scenic treatments which have been going off around the layout, and that means we can get all the locos out and running again. As you might have noticed, our collection of fairlies has slightly increased since earlier in the video as well. So we've got Early Marinef, we've got Livingston Thompson, we've also got David Lloyd George on the layout too. These locos, I've got to say, they're fantastic little runners. I've been really impressed with how they work on the layout, and they look superb just trundling around with the slate train or with the passenger set as well. Got plenty of haulage capacity as well. I mean, this 6-coach set behind Livingston Thompson here, it's, well, doesn't seem to phase it at all. Plenty of power left in reserve. So obviously we aren't at the end of the narrow gauge project. Now, we're actually going to have a whole nother feature showing you the finishing techniques we're going to put into this to take you what you see here is basically a fairly basic landscape. We're going to take this up to the next level and turn it into a proper scenic model railway. That's coming up in January, but you can also read our complimentary piece in the latest issue of Hornby Magazine. That's issue 175, our January 2022 issue, which focuses on the progress up to this stage of the project as well. In fact, actually a little bit back from this as well, because actually we got as far as the basic landscape made out of polystyrene in that. So you've got a little bit more in this video. Next month in Hornby Magazine as well, in our February 2022 issue, we'll have the full finished shots of this layout as well, so you'll be able to revel in what we've created at the end. Well, hopefully. I hope you like what we've done. And, well, there's more video to come. We hope you enjoyed what you see here. And, well, I can't wait to get started on the next phase of scenic development. Thank you very much for watching once again. Don't forget that our latest issue of Hornby Magazine is on sale now. It's issue 175, our January 2022 issue. It's available from December the 2nd. And that comes with a free 32-page beginner's guide to model railway construction there as well. Plus, if you're one of our digital subscribers, you can catch all our latest issue online at keymodelworld.com. And finally, if you're a YouTube follower, don't forget to like and subscribe to get our videos notified to you when they drop as well. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
I'm Jack, and welcome to Hatton's Model Railways in Widnes. Here at Hatton's, we stock over 13,000 different product lines, and we also have a huge range of pre-owned items ranging from everything from UK outline, USA outline, Japan. You can also sign up to daily notifications, so whenever we add new pre-owned stock, you can go straight to the website and get first dibs on those too. We also offer a trunk service here at Hatton's that enables you to purchase items and make sure you've secured them. We'll keep them here safely for you, and you can even combine them with other orders and have them all shipped out together. That even enables you to save on postage costs, and is great for overseas customers as well. So we're here in our curbside pickup lockers, so anyone who is local to Hattons, you can have your order placed online or over the phone and have it placed in one of our lockers as you see here. Truly easy to just come and collect your key, pick it up any time of day, 24/7, you can come pick up your order. Our customer experience team is available from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m, 7 days a week UK time. You can place orders, query anything, and you can also speak to our product expert team who are available to give you expert full-on guidance with our entire product range. They can get in touch via email, social media, live chat, or phone.